أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Welcome, everyone. In this explainer, we're drawing from some incredible insights compiled by Mir Ali Shah from the Living the Wisdom of the Quran podcast. And we're diving into a really powerful part of Surah Yā-Sīn. We're going to explore what happens when the message itself has to change its approach. So what happens when human messengers are ignored and, well, the cosmos itself is called to the stand? All right, so where we're jumping in today, it actually picks up right where another story left off. A really profound one, actually. It's about a city that was warned, but just refused to listen. And what's key is that this society didn't fall to some big army from the outside. No, it just collapsed from the inside out, from its own spiritual emptiness. And that silence, that void, well, that's what sets the stage for everything that comes next.
So you gotta ask, right? What happens when humanity just refuses to listen? Does the message just pack up and go home? The Quran's answer here is a huge resounding no, not at all. In fact, instead of shrinking back, the message gets bigger. It literally expands and lifts our gaze from just human stories to the entire fabric of existence.
Okay, so how does it do that? Well, the Qur'an starts by laying out evidence that's, right in front of our faces. Tangible, observable, you just can't deny it. This is what's known as the first layer of meaning, the Zāhir, the outer apparent reality of things. It's like the revelation is saying, okay, you didn't want to just listen to words. Fine, now I'm going to show you. And just so we're all on the same page, that term, Zāhir, it's all about the external, the literal, the apparent meaning. It's the case being made right on the surface, through the signs all around us. So let's dive in and see what those signs actually are. So the Qur'an presents four, you could call them great testimonies in this section. It's really brilliant. First, it makes us look back at history. Then it tells us to look down at the earth. Then up to the heavens, and finally out to the sea. Each one is like a building block, making the case piece by piece.
So testimony number 1, history. And what's really interesting here is that the Quran uses the word seen. And that's because for the people hearing this for the first time, the ruins of old civilizations were literally things they could see on their journeys. The lesson is powerful. It's about irreversibility. Time only moves in one direction. So the real failure isn't that there's no evidence, it's the failure to just stop and really think about what it all means.
Okay, from history, let's look down at the earth beneath our feet. This one is so powerful because it's an argument you can experience yourself. You see dead, dry land, and then rain comes, and boom, it's alive again. We all see this. And then the verse points out something crucial. Yeah, we might plant and work the land, but did our hands really make the fruit? It's a direct shot at our sense of self-sufficiency, It's a call to just be grateful. And from the earth, we're told to look up to the heavens, look at the sun and the moon. They're in these perfect, predictable orbits. They never crash. They never get off track. They obey their limits perfectly. This cosmic dance, it's not random. It's a sign of a deep intention. And what a contrast, right? You have this entire universe moving with this incredible precision and humility. And then you have us, human beings, so often filled with arrogance, always pushing our limits. And for the final sign, we're brought right back down to earth, to our own vulnerability. Think about being on a ship in the middle of the ocean. Especially back then, it was terrifyingly risky. Your survival was never, ever guaranteed. This verse is a stark reminder that our safety, our life itself, it's hanging by a thread. It's not something we're owed, it's an act of mercy, plain and simple. Rescue is a gift, not a guarantee. So there you have it. The case is made. The Zāhir is laid out, history warns us, the earth shows us revival, the heavens show us perfect order. After all that, the Qur'an is basically saying if you still turn away, well, that's not just ignorance anymore. That's a choice. That's a refusal to see what's right in front of you. But, and this is where it gets really deep, there's a whole other layer to these signs. The Sufi tradition, for instance, looks at this whole cosmic spectacle and says, this isn't just about the outside world. This is a map of our inner world. And this is the batin, the inner hidden meaning. So the batin, it's that internal esoteric meaning. The idea here is that every single sign out there in creation has a mirror, a corresponding reality right inside the human soul. So let's take those exact same 4 signs and see what happens when we look at them through this new lens. It's pretty amazing. Remember the dead earth brought back to life by rain? Well, in this inner reading, that dead earth, that's the heedless heart.
You know, a heart that's become dry and barren because of distraction and just the noise of the world, but it's not a lost cause. It's just waiting for the rain of remembrance, of dhikr, to fall on it and bring it back to life.
Next up, the sun. What can that be on the inside? Well, in this reading, the sun is a symbol for al-haqq, the truth, the divine reality. It's constant, it's powerful, it's the source of all light and warmth. It doesn't change, it just is. Okay, so if the sun is the divine truth, then what's the moon? The moon is the human heart. And this is such a beautiful analogy, because think about it. The moon has no light of its own. It can only reflect the light of the sun. And its phases, its waxing and waning, those aren't seen as failures. They're just different stages of how open and receptive the heart is to that divine light.
And finally, that laden ship we talked about. Internally, this becomes a powerful symbol for spiritual guidance. The path, the practices, the teachers, the whole prophetic tradition. I mean, you wouldn't try to cross a vast, stormy ocean by just walking on the water, would you? No, you board a sturdy vessel that's designed to carry you safely to the other side. And that really gets to the heart of the Bātīn reading. The idea is that creation isn't just some pretty backdrop for our lives. It's a living, breathing instruction manual. It's actively teaching us about our own inner landscape and showing us how to navigate it. So, we've looked at the outer evidence and we've explored the inner map. Now, the Quran kind of turns the spotlight right back on us. It shifts from explaining things to asking us to apply them. It's saying, look, this world isn't just scenery, it's instruction. And you and I, we're invited to be active students. So let's just pause and reflect on this first question for a moment. Do I read creation as just habit or as mercy? That sunrise every morning, the rain that falls, the food on our table, have they become just routine, automatic things? Or can we see them for what they are? Fresh, new acts of mercy every single day. And that leads right into the next question. Do I consume gifts without recognition? You know, do we just take all the good things in our life, our health, our family, our ability to think and breathe, without ever stopping to acknowledge where they came from? Have we started to mistake these incredible gifts for things we're somehow entitled to? And really, this last question brings it all home. Do I notice the signs, or do I just pass through them? At the end of the day, this is the core request of the Qur'an. It's not asking us to be brilliant philosophers or scientists. It's just asking for one simple thing: our attention. Are we present enough to actually notice the signs that are everywhere, all the time? Or are we just rushing through life, on our way to the next thing? And in that spirit of wanting to pay attention, let's close our reflection together with this munajat, this intimate call. O reviver of dead earth and weary hearts, teach us to see before we are forced to see. Align us with the rhythm you wrote into creation, so we recognize your mercy before time runs out. Amen. So we've seen how the entire cosmos is called to testify. But believe it or not, the surah doesn't stop here. It then asks a chilling question. What happens when even this universal testimony is ignored? What happens then? Well, in the next section of the surah, the warnings get a lot more direct. Promises start getting mocked, and the consequences, they draw much, much closer. The reckoning comes next.